So right now, I'm not exactly sure what to make of Dr. Kureha. Like, she came down and she has all these stories about her being this witch, the fact that she takes things from people, which I guess she does, but she came down to this little boy that was in absolute agony. She was in a bar full of like grown adults that were basically saying if this kid doesn't stop crying, that they'll kick him out pretty much into the cold weather, which I mean was terrible. Even his own dad was like, you need to stop crying because you're basically bringing down the business. And Dr. Koreha basically came in and, detected the issue immediately, found that he had an infection in his leg. It was near fatal. She gave him some antibiotics, made him feel a lot better. But in the consequence, she took 49% of the business, plus other things like toilet paper, food, all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of hard to sort of get behind it, even though she did save this kid. And obviously, that's more important. Her taking all of that from these people makes it a bit tricky to get behind her. Do you know what I mean? And she has this reindeer that goes with her called Chopper, who I don't know, essentially is her assistant, and she uses him for anesthetic. Chopper headbutted this kid in order to put him to sleep, which I just thought was funny. It's also her means of transport, but I assume those two are going to have some sort of, chemistry or history. I'm not too sure, Chopper and the doctor, but we'll have to see. But I'm sure there's a lot more to the story, like why she does what she does. She seems to be, like I said, she's the only doctor left in the Drum Kingdom. Why is it her? Why is Wapo? Why did he let her stay? Why didn't he take her? Because Wapo is terrible. It goes back and it shows that he exiled every single doctor on Drum Island essentially as a form of control to make it so if a citizen needed help, everybody gets sick. They need to come to him because he's keeping all the doctors for himself. He's just absolutely awful. That's like so tyrannical and terrible. Like maybe one of the worst things we've seen so far in One Piece. He's basically gotten rid of people allowing to have like the potential to get healthy. Getting rid of the doctors. And if they want to use the doctors, they also have to They also have to pay like extreme amounts of money for the healthcare. It's an awful system, and Wapo is a terrible person, and obviously the nation is better without him. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that it is terrible. But why is she the last doctor left? I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Maybe she hid away from him. I'm not too sure. She's obviously for the people, but she has something not quite right about her, I feel like. She's interesting. She's a mystery for sure. In this episode, we learned that Dalton worked directly under Wapo, not by his own choice, essentially. He worked for Wapo's dad, whoever that was. Whoever that was probably a good leader, at least by what Dalton is saying. But when Wapo took it over, it all went to shit. But Dalton continued to work for him, obviously, until Wapo ran away when Blackbeard attacked. So, there's some history there. And Dalton can turn into a bull, which surprised me. Wapol is back in Drum Island. He returned. He killed some people, some citizens, because he's back to take over what he calls his island. The audacity to call Drum Island his after he just ditched them when they were being attacked is insane. Like, this dude is fucking awful, obviously. I wonder where those 20 doctors are that he took away as well. Has he kept them with him on the ship or what? I don't know what he's done with them. But yeah, this guy's back now and, immediately killed some citizens. This guy is awful. So I don't know what they're going to do. They saw that the Straw Hats were there as well, which they are also looking for. Wapo is looking for Luffy after Luffy absolutely embarrassed him. So that could be interesting if these two encounter each other again. How's that going to happen? How is that all going to go down? And also, Luffy and Sanji are heading to the top of this mountain in order to find Dr. Kureha, but she's not even there, because she's down currently attending to people in some of the local towns. So, it could be quite interesting if they get to the top. If they do, because now these giant bunnies they've been fighting have caused an avalanche, so they're going to have to figure that out. I'm not too sure, but they were in quite an interesting dilemma in this episode. They had to avoid you actually fighting. Well, Luffy did because of the impacts of Luffy's punches. If he landed them with Nami on his back, that could cause potential harm to her. So they essentially had to use Ultra Instinct and just avoid these ninja bunny things in order to, protect Nami. But Sanji, did some damage, but seeing Luffy not being able to fight was quite interesting for him because he's just brute force all the time. So seeing him have to actually try not to fight was an interesting dynamic. But there is so much to unpack on this Drum Island arc. Like, what's going to happen now? Wapol is back. What is the history with him and Dalton exactly? Who was the leader before Wapol? Like, what was Wapol's dad actually like? What is the doctor? Why does she do what she does? Why does she come down every so often to cure some people and then take some stuff and then leave again? What is all that about? Why doesn't she stay in the villages to help people? What is her problem? Do you know what I mean? What's up with her? there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but I'm very excited, and I'm sure One Piece is going to have a very interesting answer because it always does. So I'm excited to delve further into the Drum Island arc. Sorry.